This is Tiffany of Whitney and Tiffany, and I am just going to take us through this edit because many people were wondering about this. So I'm just going to take a minute here and, well, a few minutes and show you what actions I used and how I got from point A to point B. So there's a couple things that I didn't do until the end of the last one, but I am going to do it right away before I forget. There's two things. Number one, her beret is a little bit different from her dress, and this little brown patch right here is really bothering me. So I am going to grab just, there we go, the eyedropper tool, and then I'm going to turn this to color. I'm going to try it with color and see if that works. So I'm going to fill this in, and I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to drop the opacity. It was just a little bit brighter than what I wanted it. So that'll be good when I do the other actions. It should even it out. And then the other thing, and I'm going to see if I can just use the same opacity. I'm going to do the exact same thing over here, and then I'm going to just paint this in. I'm not sure if this is going to work or if I'm going to have to do... There, that's much better. I'm going to start with this and see if that's good enough. All right, so the first thing, I've said this in other tutorials, and I have also written this in our group, our Heirloom Collection. It starts with the fine art bases, and I use these on 100% of my images. So there are two warm. This one brightens it up more. A cool, and I don't do a lot of cool editing, but I know people do, so it's perfect for that. And then clean. So I bounce between fine art base 2 warm and clean are the two that I use 98% of the time. Once in a while I will use the other warm, but it's usually between these two. So I want to brighten them up a little bit. It was 40 degrees, maybe 42, 40 degrees. And you could even see on Kinley's face, she had a sleepover the night prior. You can tell she's cold, she's tired. My Brayson is a complainer by nature, so this definitely was not something that he wanted to do. We were going to go to a private tree farm and ended up going to a public one, so there were people there. So I've got two kids that are just not loving this or loving me right now. If you have older children, or I feel like it's photographer's children syndrome. But anyway, so one click, we can see it's making them kind of pop off the page a little bit, brightening them up, giving them a little bit of a glow. I am going to go ahead and hit brighten the subject. I do use this on a lot as well. Sorry, I lost my tangent on the kid's face, but it was also overcast. So we are in Wisconsin. So if you are anywhere near Wisconsin, you know that once winter comes, we don't see a whole lot of sunshine. So I'm going to turn that off and on, just give them a little bit of a pop. Then I went to our bold collection, and I did bold and bright. Bold and bright is going to give them a little bit of contrast, which I'm also going to add from our Heirloom collection as well, but it's also just going to give them some rich tones. I don't keep it at 100%, not for this image, but I like the little bit of definition and the contrast that it adds and the darkness to the shadows. So I'm going to do that, and then I am going to take a look here. Sorry, I'm going back to my squirrel brain, back to our fine art bases. I am going to hit pop the details, and I am just going to run this through the pleats of her dress to bring that out. Such a beautiful dress. One of our favorite designers, the Paper Doll. If you are ever looking for dresses, Grace is amazing. And I'm just gonna run it along here and down on her boots. And I'm going to run a swipe on her hat, and then I'm going to drop the opacity of that. Turn that off and on. So it's just giving her dress a little extra pop. I might also run this. Oh, I need. This is our little dog, Boo. She's a miniature teddy bear. And she was black. The older she gets, she's 5 now, but the older she gets, the more, the whiter she's getting. She's a Bichon Shih Tzu mix, but black animals are so difficult to photograph. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab Painterly Hair. So this is one that I like to use. Her hair looked pretty soft anyway, but I'm just going to run this through her hair and maybe put some on Boo as well. All right, so I'm going to zoom in here. I'm just going to paint this on her hair and just really soften it up. Oh, there she had her nails on. One right here fell off. I didn't even realize that in the first picture. From her, that's her and her little girlfriends. This is an 11-year-old. If you have one, you know. At her party the night prior, she put some of those press-on nails on. There we go. So I'm just going to soften up their hair, and then I always drop the opacity a little bit on there. Okay. Now, I am not certain whether or not I want to do basic contrast or golden contrast, so I'm going to play with both of them. So I have a Canon R5, and something that I've noticed is that I need to add contrast to every picture. And from what I've read, I feel like that is pretty common. I went from a 6D to this, and I just felt like the colors, things were just very, very different. But I do love this camera, but it's something that I have to add. I add it in Lightroom before I pop over into Photoshop, and then I love these actions. I go between golden contrast and basic contrast. So I'm going to run this one. This is just going to give us some warmth, and I'm going to change, it's very, very yellow. So I'm going to work with that as well, but I like the brightness that it gives the subject, this golden contrast. Okay. So since I'm on the subject, I'm just going to do this now. This is not an action, but I'm going to go layer, new layer adjustment in selective color. And I've already got it on yellows because I did a couple of these yesterday. And I am going to add some cyan into there. So you can see just by doing that, you don't maybe realize how yellow it is until you do this. And then I'm going to do some magenta, and then I'm going to take some of the yellow out, and then some black. So if I turn that off and on, you can see that's making them pop out even more. I am going to take this at 60% and just take it off. I don't want the kids to lose all of their warmth. So I'm going to take that off of them. All right. So that's also helping. I'm going to just do their faces, pop them a little bit more as well. All right. Now, thanks, Kinley. I'm sorry, working with the kids home. All right, I am going to go to decrease highlights because I feel like their faces are a little bit bright here. We have increased shadows, decrease highlights, darken a touch, and brighten a touch. I absolutely love those actions as well. They're wonderful because they're one click, and you can apply them to any part of the photo that you'd like. All right, I am going to click on there and hit Command I, and I am going to grab a white brush and just run this over their faces. There. So it's just taking, if I can zoom in for you, it's on and I turn that off, you can see it's just taking some of those highlights down on their faces, and I will add them back in when I do some dodging and burning on them. All right. Now I'm going to work, now that I have the picture kind of where I want it, so I can take a screenshot here and show you already. Somebody had asked me like how with the lens, you get them to look as sharp as they are, and some of it is in the editing. So, all right, now I'm going to work on their eyes, their cheeks, using our actions. So this is in our skin collection, but you can also get it in, well, I'll do this first. I don't know that our eyes are not in our skin collection. You can, in our ultimate workflow, you can get all of this, or you can buy them separately. So there's a skin package and then there's an eye package. If I were going to purchase 2 packages, it would be our eye package and it would be our Heirloom collection, because those are the 2 I use the most. I use the eye actions on every single image, but I also really like this one in our skin package. It's called Cheeks, Lips, and Teeth. So I am going to run that, and then you open it up, and you can change this. It's a solid fill layer, so if you don't like the color, it works for Kinley. So in this image, so I'm not going to change it, but I will show you how to do that. If you don't like it, you simply double click and you click wherever you want, and you can move all over, and you can change the color if you don't like the color that it's giving your subject. All right. I just printed a canvas of this morning. I don't know if you all are like me, but as much as I photograph, I haven't printed something in over 2 years. So I really liked this because it also has our dog in it. So I thought I'm going to do that. And I didn't even realize she was missing a fingernail, and I already printed the canvas. All right. So just a little bit of color in her face. I will go ahead and run the teeth whiten over her teeth. If you have a client who has very yellow teeth and they want them whiter, you can just simply Command J the layer and it will whiten them even more. So it just gives it a little bit of brightness. And then I like this one more in my studio photos, but because it really brings out the light. But this one is called All Over Glow, and it's just going to give them, this is why we're not at 100%. Okay. And it's just going to give them a little bit of a glow. I'm gonna run it on his lip. Okay. So if I putting that down, you can see just the little bit of color that it's bringing in light into her face. Okay, eye actions. So I'm going to run Captivating Eyes. I'm not looking at our dog's face, and even she looks kind of miserable, but she actually had some fun. Okay, so I always start with the brighten eye and socket, and I bring that right over the eye. I don't know why my brush is weirding out on me like this. I'm going to do it for a little Boo Bear too. Okay, and then I usually bring that down a little bit. I don't use this one as much in studio because it's so bright, but when I do outdoor photos, I love this one because it brings out the catch lights in their eyes. There we go. Okay, and then I am going to zoom this out, and I'm going to bring that down as well. So if I turn that off and on, you can just see that it's bringing out those catch lights. I am going to go to eye whiten because Kinley's eyes are looking like really red to me. So I don't know if it's because she was tired or crying that she was cold. One or the other, but I'm going to fix it. So if I zoom this in for you and I turn that off and on, you can see it's just taken the red out of her eye. I think I'm going to I don't need to brighten her eye whites. I might actually do it to hers as well. All right. Now, so the ones that I had just used, I typically don't use when I'm in studio because the lighting is always spot on anyway. But I always use brighten eye socket and adjust eye color. This is going to just really make their eyes pop. And like if your subject has like blue eyes or green eyes, I'm not running 2 separate ones, so I'm not going to add any color. You can simply click on here and then you can add in, or if you want to change their eye color, you can do that. But my Brayson does not have purple eyes. Okay, so obviously this is like crazy vampire, right? So I always adjust the opacity to about 20. And then you can see it just brings some light to their eyes. I need to get that blue out of there though, because he does not have that color eye. Okay. And then limbal ring is just going to darken their limbal ring. I don't need to do that. And I always 100% of the time use sharpen eye as well. So I'm just going to run this over their eyes. And little boo down here. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out and then I'm going to collapse this down. And then I'm going to turn this off and on. So you can see, I'll zoom in for you, off and on. How it just, even look at the dog. How it really just pops their eyes. I am going to just bring this down a little bit because we don't want them to look fake eyes. But I think our eye actions are the best. I've said this before as well, of any I have ever used. Okay. And once you do it, it goes quickly. I'm just explaining it. That's why it's taking a little bit longer. I'm going to go layer, new layer. And I am going to put some lashes on Kinley. I do this to every one of my images. So I'm just going to grab the eyedropper tool, and then we have eyelashes in our eye bundle. These Whitney actually made after Kinley's lashes, so I always choose these for her. I use this lash for 95% of my clients it works for. So just put that there, and then I'm going to grab the other one. There we go. So if I turn those off and on, you can see it just opens up her eyes a little bit. Sometimes I will blur them. And we have, I mean, I can show you in our brushes. Look at all, these are all the eyelash brushes that come. So we have a plethora of brushes. Okay. So now that we have the eyes and the cheeks or everything like that done, I am going to do layer, new adjustment layer, and I'm going to do some hue and saturation, and I'm just going to bring up the saturation a tad, click on the white mask and hit Command I, and then I'm going to add a little bit of saturation to his lips and cheeks. Okay. I'm just going to zoom out. That's good. I don't need to bring that down either. Okay. Now, I am going to take a look at this. And I'm going to flatten this down. I'm going to hit Command J and go to luminosity, and I'm going to grab and do some dodging and burning. We do have a dodging and burning action as well. I just prefer to do it this way. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to dodge the eyes, little nose, and her hair, a little bit on her cheeks, and then I'm going to do the same with him. And then he's got more hooded eyes, so I'm just going to run this up on him. And then I'm going to grab my burn tool, and I'm going to do some burning. Okay. Same thing with him. Brayson has such nice cheekbones. I always like to add that. All right. I'm going to Actually, I'm going to do that in a different way. That'll make it a little bit easier. So if I turn that off and on, you can see it's defining their features even more. I'm going to do layer, new adjustment layer and curves. And I am going to grab the shadows and pull them down and hit Command I. And I am going to run, whoop, I need a brush though. I'm going to run that now through the curves of her dress just to bring it out, the pleats a little bit more. Okay, so if I turn that off and on, I'm going to just back this out so I can see. Perfect. Okay, so now I am going to go to our frequency separation action, which is another one. If I had to buy 3, that would be the third. I use this on 100% of my images. All right. So the first thing is like this texture edit. So if you have any, it'll automatically select the clone tool. You just hit your option tool, and any like stray hairs that are, I think I'm just going to leave that one though. Here there's a stray hair. And you can just click and remove. So it's great. I like it for stray hairs on the face. But that's going to take me forever to remove, so I'm not I'm not doing it. Sorry. If it was for a client, and I think I did fix it up, but that would take forever. So she's got, I don't know what is all over this. I think at one point we had used this for a photo shoot and used like fake snow, and it's looking like that's on there. So I'm just going through and picking those. All right. If you have like bruises on their legs. And then we go to the blur and color edit, and you grab a mixer brush tool. Okay, and I'm just going to, this is a great one if you have like, if they have dry elbows or knees, you can use the texture edit to work through that. I'm going to use this just to smooth out the pleats in the dress. Again, if I had more time, I would spend more time on this, but I'm trying to keep this short for us. Okay, so I'm going to go into the skin. Like I said, Kinley already has dark under eyes, but she had a sleepover the night prior. A little Friendsgiving that turned into a sleepover. So we were not anticipating, so she didn't get a whole lot of sleep. So I'm just mixing together. And we do also have in our eye collection a under eye correct. I can probably show you that after this. I will. But usually I can just get it with the blur tool. So just smoothing out, I'm just working on smoothing out the skin. Same with Brayson. He's got a little shadow here and here. Can kind of blend those in together. I use this. It's a lot more beneficial when you're in studio and have really harsh shadows and you don't want harsh shadows. It's great to use to blend in. Brayson doesn't have the dark under circles. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off and on, and you can see like her knees, just how it's blending everything together. I'm going to flatten this down, zoom in on her, and I'm seeing a lot of magenta, so I'm just going to hit reduce magenta. This is in our skin collection. Take some of the magenta out of her skin. Perfect. Easy one click. All right, I am going back to our eyes. Actually, I'm just trying, under eye correct. All right, here we go. So you just take a little dropper, hit OK, and then paint under the eye. And since we have pretty equal light, usually I do one for each side, only because there's typically different shadowing, like when I'm in studio, but I don't need to do that for this because the lighting is even. All right, so if I turn that off and on, you can see it just takes them right away now. I'm just gonna put a little bit back. Okay. So you can see. So now that we've done that, I'll take a screenshot and we can see where we've come so far. And then in our holiday collection, I am loving this Cool the Highlights, which now everything is blue. We don't want that, but I just bring it down just to add a little bit. There we go, just a tiny little bit. And then this holiday pop I use on almost every image. So again, these are found in our holiday collection. So if I turn that off and then back on, it's going to sharpen the image. It's just going to make them pop, exactly what it says it's doing. And then because of the way that this image is, I am going to this is in, I think, our glitter collection, but it's called Spin Light. And I'm going to click on the white and grab a black brush and take that off of my subjects. It's just a way to make them pop even more. I'm going to drop the opacity of that a little bit. All right, so I think we're done. So I am going to grab another shot and I can show you zoomed out. Here's where we started and this is where we finished. So again, started, drab Wisconsin, and we're able to make them pop. So that's it. Many of you had asked, so I thought it would be beneficial to throw this in here. As always, if you have questions, just reach out to us. We're always more than happy to help, and I hope you enjoyed it.